Hey Mark, how you doing? Okay, thank you so much for kicking things off. Not always the easiest thing to do, so good job. All right, banana. Harder than you anticipated, and absolutely, I totally agree with that. I think that when you read the instructions and you read the project specs, the assignment specs, you're like, oh yeah, no problem, this would be easy. But as we find out, it's a little bit trickier than those specifications might otherwise indicate. I think that it's a great exercise because it really allows you to get an intimate relationship with the optical relationships. And this is just one typeface. But the little nuances you're noticing here in these typefaces as you draw them are inherent. I mean, they're a part of every typeface. And those little relationships are what make typefaces unique and different. And quite often those little kind of characteristics are the defining characteristics of specific typeface. And I say defining by meaning that they kind of define the typeface's personality, the personality of the font, and allow you as a typographer to use those personality traits to pair the typeface with different meaning and different messages. So it's really quite fascinating when you think about it. So let's go ahead and take a look at your banana. I think you've done a really good job. Now, this is just kind of a baseline assignment to just kind of get you started, get you acclimated to baselines, cap height, and mean lines, and how particular letters are related to those markers, as it were. So right now, I think the most important thing to do is take a look at the spacing between letters. And a lot of times you want to take a look at those letters and you want to make it, the viewer imagine that those spaces are even, okay? But it's not as a matter of just making them even, like the distance between here is equal to the distance between here, because these are the optical considerations that we need to talk about, and those illusions that are created by curves, by straights, by diagonals, etc. So in banana, the general rule of thumb here is this. There's a couple of things that I'm seeing. First, I think the baseline is not level. So we can see it kind of going down a little bit. And at the end, it's wider than it is at the beginning. And this is relevant because as your letters sit on the baseline, you're going to find that to maintain a relationship with the mean line, the letters are going to have to get bigger if the baseline is not level. Okay, that should make sense. If not, let me know. I'll be glad to clarify that. That's why we see such differences here between this A and this A. Okay, now as far as the spacing itself goes, there are a couple of general rules of thumb you want to think about. So the most space should be between two curves. Okay, next is a curve and a straight, and then the widest space, so narrowest between two curves, the next widest between a curve and a straight, and then the widest kerning between two straights. Okay, and that's a general rule of thumb for kerning sans serif typefaces, specifically when you have those attributes, straights, curves. This doesn't have any diagonals with the letters given, so it's relatively straightforward. There's also repetitions of letters, so you really only have to kern two letters. You have to kern the space between the B and the A and the N. Now, the reason I say that is because, the B and the A and the N, and the N and the A, because this is just a repetition of the A and the N, and this is a repetition of the A and N and the A, right? So really, you're only kerning 1, 2, 3 spots. These 3 spots, you're showing a curve and a straight, 2 straights, and 2 curves, okay? So again, the 2 curves would be the narrowest kerning, the next would be the straight and the curve, and then the widest kerning would be the 2 straights. Now, keep in mind, these shouldn't be noticeable. I mean, I'm talking about these differences being pretty minute. So, okay, so moving forward, definitely get that baseline perfectly level, okay? And when I say level, I mean a perfect parallel with the cap line. The next thing you want to do is when you're tracing these out, I know the instructions say to begin by drawing the baseline, the mean line, and the cap line, but right now you should be saying to yourself, well, wait a second, how can I draw the mean line first? Because the mean line is defined by the typeface itself. So you can't just draw, a mean line is not universal. Okay, a baseline is strictly just a straight line. A cap line is the line of the capital letters, its distance from the baseline, and then a mean line is the height of the lowercase letters. So what I would do is I would draw a perfectly straight line for the baseline, place your B, and then draw another perfectly straight, make sure it's perfectly parallel, the cap line. Then place your A. Once your A is placed, go ahead and make sure you draw a perfectly level mean line. That will help you place the other letters. Okay, so there's a little kerning game that we have here. This is called the kern game. I introduced this in week 2, but the it's type.method.ac. I know it's a strange URL, but that's it. If you just Google the kerning game, this will come up. But this is great because it gives you a nice way to practice different letters in your kerning. Let's see how I did there. Ooh, not so good. 55 out of 100. Not good. So practice. There's several words to practice through, and you'll see what I'm saying about getting some really nice hands-on practice with and understanding the spatial relationships and some of the optical illusions created by curved letters, straight letters, and diagonals. Okay, so again, just really want to straighten this out in terms of keeping your mean line, baseline, cap height level, and keep that distance between them consistently throughout. Most space is going to occur between the two straights, then a straight and a curve, and a narrow space between two curves. Okay, all right, looking forward to seeing your next iteration. And now next week we've got another one of these. This one's a little more complex. It's called Fire and Ice. So look forward to that. All right, great job. Any questions at all, please let me know. Thanks, Mark.